these different laptops, you can't remember which one's got which.
Business right there, they usually... Like,
Are they in the... Do you think they're in the building?
Were
Were they there before?
Eh?
Are you going to get them...
Oh, yeah, that's... In the list, I was looking for a crane. I saw some cranes tonight. He's tweeting on the front row and say, "Do you have a crane out the back?" He said, "Yeah."
I know what you mean.
It's like
You could even do.
Metric up a few weeks ago, and so I've been praising God and saying, "This is incredible. I'm still alive at 70, and I didn't go bankrupt." And the reason I get excited about not going bankrupt is we put a sign outside our window about 20 years ago saying we'll treat everybody who wants to give up drugs, and we'll ask you to pay, but we'll treat you whether you pay or not. So I had a few CEOs who I had to ask to leave because they wouldn't agree with the sign on the window. Because it is almost impossible to develop a really good treatment program and to deliver the right medication and everything. I know exactly what I'm looking for. I talked to the plumber today and he said it's going to cost $10,000 for the plumbing, George. Could do it for $8,000, but I need $10,000. So I'm looking for a group of enthusiastic people to help us fund the $10,000. There's pictures, but I think they're rotating, are they?
Yeah, they were. Just about to start your thing.
And so this is. I went to the Busselton. Any of you here Irish?
I bought a married one, so how's that?
Well, I was born in Limerick. And Limerick and Southern Ireland, and so when I was 8 I came to Australia and grew up in an Irish family, and just very grateful to be living here in Australia. I did medicine, and I think I was the doctor at 22, 23. I've been doctor in Niagara, I've been doctor in Port Hedland, I've been doctor around the state. Became an obstetrician gynecologist, so some of you might have heard or met me through being an obstetrician gynecologist, but essentially I was a surgeon, worked in ultrasound. I think I delivered a baby for Alan about 25 years ago, 20 years ago, something like that.
That's right.
Yeah, well,
I remember Rodney with a birthday cake.
and so one of our special things that taught us a great deal in life was Chris. Rodney was born with autism, and that's going back 44 years ago. So that was a big challenge that I learned a lot from. 26 years ago, Chris had, she was a German girl, and she used to spend too much time on the beach and bedding up, and she was blonde. So by the time she was 27, she had her first melanoma, and by the time she was 40, she had melanomas right through her liver, and so she's the smart one in the family. She's still alive. She's still well, and so giving thanks for just being here at 70. But but this business of trying to look after addicts involves two big things. One is only the medicine that will actually get people off the drugs, and I'm developing that quite well. And the other thing is I need a heart and soul change from the addicts and from the community that looks after the addicts. Because really, somebody tackled Jesus and said, are we supposed to forgive for 70 times? And he said, no, 70 times 7. But he was forgetting about the addicts. It's 700 times 70. It's just an enormous amount of forgiving. And so the guys travelling with me have seen a family talking on the phone this afternoon, and it is really, really terribly hard for the families. So I went to the Busselton Council 6 years ago and I said, we spend $100,000 on these guys, we do the medicine really well, we take them to rehab. And we always ask them the day before they're leaving rehab, where are you going when you leave here? And there's one or two answers. I'm going back to my family, or I'm going back to my old friends. And the ones who go back to their old friends don't do well. And that's even after getting them better for a year. And the ones who go back to their family, they can only go back to their family if they've sought forgiveness and offered forgiveness and sought forgiveness and offered forgiveness, and everybody's recovered. So the council was good enough to give us a property on the beach. And the property on the beach in Caves Road, the first one was at a small development area, and then they asked us to reapply, and so it was 2 years delay before we finished getting that property, and it's now 18 months since I got a development approval, and so we need some electricians to help us, and we need some plumbers to help us. I started with quotes for about 40,000 for the plumbing. I've got it down to 10,000. I'm looking for a friendly electrician, and so these I've got a vision statement here, but essentially I'm not reading it. but our key mission is to help families with addictions, and the kids who are involved in the addiction get really, really messed up. But the parents get even messed up more than the kids, and so those parents need enormous support from the community, and so the vision is to get these kids from who we're putting a lot of effort into, down to meet their brother who they haven't talked to for 10 years, or down to meet their family that they haven't talked to for 20 years. So I've done two things. I've bought a property in Metricup for the mums who refuse to go to the dongas on the beach. So we've got the dongas on the beach, and we've got the fancy place in Metricup, and we've got one subsidising the other. The way we're running Go Medical is a private company that I started, and it's supposed to make a profit, but it needs about $2 or $3 million worth of implants each year to the not-for-profit. Present I've been steering so neither of them falls over, just. And Shitak's been working in the for-profit company for 20 years, and we've got you helping just in the not-for-profit for the last 3 months. So we've got a team of about 150 people working in Go Medical in Romania, Singapore and Perth, and a team of about 80 or 100 people working in Perth. The cost of running the sort of program for the addicts is about a $10 million cost per year, and the government put in 25%, which is about 2.5 million. And so we're very fortunate to have that sort of support from government. Donors put in about $500,000. We make about $500,000 with a fancy rehab in Queensland that we run, but it's expensive rehab for people who want everything fancy. And then we look after the patients who don't have any money, and we look after about 500 to 1,000 each year. So just goes through the pictures of the campsite. So this is the campsite. It's done. We just put 4 dongas up last week, or 2 weeks ago. And so this is the driveway in. This is the building that's already there. Just keep going. So this is the beach. It's just an incredibly lovely area. And this is looking out on the beach. Keep going. And I'll sneak through. This is the big building that needs cleaning up inside, and there might be, if you were able to line stuff from Busselton and Dunsborough and places to work together, you might be able to do a busy bee. There's just so much work to do, it's not funny. These are the dongas being lifted in originally, and originally we placed them on the side for a while we were getting the foundations and the footings organised. So the footings were finished. This is VCP, one of the companies helped us. Hansons have helped us with the concrete. I think everybody's been helping us so far. Okay. And this is the beach again. These are the dongas when they were in storage. This is the front of the property. If you drive along Caves Road, this is Hanson's delivering the concrete for the footings. And this is in November. Okay. I think I can't speed it up then.
Yeah.
We can get it faster. And so this is the dongas being moved in the last week or so. And this is how the dongas look today. And we've still got to build the timber works around there. I just thought I'd go through this just at the end to get an idea of what we're doing. We call it the FREE program, P-H-R-E-E-E-E. It's an Irish term, but it's free, that's what the Irish way. And E stands for physiology and pharmacology, so we've actually designed a new treatment completely to get people, in Alan's case, get people off opiates or heroin, and in your case, get people off cannabis. And so we've got these new treatments that never existed before. Chintak went to America last year at a time when I was sick, and the Americans have given him about $25 million to work with, and that's just to register the implant in America, because we've used it 8,000 times here, but also cost $25 million to register it in Australia. But the Australian government would be too much for the Australian government, so we're using the American government money to get our licenses in America, which is something that I don't think anybody's done before. And so these are two special favourite Margaret River people.
Thanks.
Then after changing the physiology, there's changing the home, and home is where we know you're welcome, no matter what. And a lot of these people, by the time we treat them, homes got pretty lost. There's a scripture quote here about love, joy, peace, patience, gentleness, kindness, self-control. If you've got that, you know you're home. But most of the people have lost. We then start working with relationships, and the psychologists and the chaplains and the psychiatrists are all working together to improve relationships. Then there's a process of getting the recovering person to a level where they're empowered. That means they stop blaming their parents and they take responsibility themselves. And then there's education, employment, exit from the place they live, and entry to a new part of the community. So I was going to get Alan, and you might 3 or 4 of you come out and answer questions. I don't know. You want to come, Alan? And do you want to come as well at the same time? We've got 3 or 4 people. So this is my friend from Bunbury. Bunbury's not too far, is it? And these 2 are Margaret River friends, so I'll let them all talk for 2 minutes each. We might start with you, or?
Yeah. Oh well, all you guys know me, but yeah, the truth of the matter is, like George said, I've been through all this stuff. Blame your parents, you blame your family, and some of it's sort of justified, but you get to a stage where you have to do something about it and change yourself and change the situation. George and Fresh Start and now Trek Zone certainly done that for me. I don't know if anyone would actually recognise me from the person that I used to be before, and and that's the beautiful thing about Margaret River. I came here and just got a fresh start, and I suppose hence the name. But yeah, this gave me that distance, you know. It eliminates the problem of no drugs, and then re-establishing things with your family. And Margaret River became my family. I probably know heaps of people in the community now, you know, and this is where I became comfortable because of this. You know. It's my couple of minutes up, boys, so I'll leave it with you. Cheers.
Thank you.
I think I met Alan when he was 37, he's now 57.
Yeah.
So he's been better for a long while, but he can at least comment on how big a problem drugs are.
Oh, look, drugs. Well, I think everyone knows how big a problem drugs are. But with the addiction side, yeah, especially with opiates and stuff like that, it's your best friend, it's your worst enemy. And if you haven't got it, you're sick. So what George provided was.
There's 500 diesel mechanics on my book.
Oh yeah. Yeah, diesel mechanics seem to fall into that category, I suppose, if you get large disposable incomes. But yeah, look, all I can say is, look, I've known George since 20 years, and the rest of them, Patsy and Yandy. It's been a remarkable journey to go from being drug addicted to be non-drug addicted and putting back into society and everything else. Yeah, it's amazing treatment. If you want to get better, he's the man, so without doubt.
And there's a bit of panel beating to be done on this side of some of the dons.
I'm a diesel mechanic.
Can I just ask you, how did you find out about Dr. O'Neill at the beginning?
This is a really amazing story. I flew to Israel in 1996. They were doing naltrexone treatment in Israel. And when I got there, the price had gone up from 11,000 US to a substantial amount more. And then they done it under general anaesthetic. So you were under general anaesthetic for 8 hours, and there was actually a fatality rate involved. So I just went, no, I'm not doing that. So I flew back to London, across to Amsterdam, cleaned myself up, had 4-month holiday over there. I got home, I got home in August of '97, and my mother found a tiny little cutting in West Australia, wanted 500 patients for a naltrexone trial. So I was patient 417, and here we are.
That's a great story. Thank you.
Paul really had a problem with cannabis, and cannabis is something that a lot of people regard as a non-issue, but he's a Margaret River boy, and he can tell you what strain or what species to use if you want good cannabis. Alan knows a little bit about Alan knows a bit about cannabis as well, and I'd be keen for Alan to give a comment.
Wonderful for arthritis.
I'll let you talk. Pardon? What should I say? So I might quiz him and just do one question at a time. Paul caught me, I went to the Surfside Church, and he said, George, don't you recognise me? And do you want to...
Yeah, because I traded my mum something like 20 years ago for heroin with an naltrexone herself, and I was looking for a bit of a way out from the cannabis abuse, and I recognised him here, and I asked him if he could help me, and he said there would be a possible chance that he could. And he told me to come up to Perth and try out a treatment called He came up to Perth and we gave him an naltrexone implant and a flumazenol implant, and I told him I didn't know enough to be sure whether it would work or not. And I was keen for Paul to tell you, when you really seriously want to give up your cannabis, most of you just will talk to kids and people on the street and tell them, just give it up. But can you tell them what happens when you try to just give it up? Well, I mean, I was smoking up to like some points like 5 grams a day, and for me, when I was giving up, I mean, first few days, I wouldn't sleep for something like 2 or 3 days, maybe 4 days at a time. Muscle spasms, sweating, sometimes psychosis towards the ends of it, and anger, depression, anxiety.
And
You tried 30 times, went to hospital 30 times?
Yeah, roughly about 30 times over since I was about 15. In and out of psych ward as well, which wasn't fun. Tried this flumazenol thing and didn't really get any of the symptoms that I got beforehand, and noticed I was sleeping within like the first day of it, which was really good, and it was a terrible thing not sleeping. Really not good.
And all of that was 11 weeks ago?
Yeah, about 2.5 months ago now, yeah.
And so,
haven't gone back.
So the stuff, or in the last week or two, the builder who's been doing my work and not charging me any money told me, George, I've got to go, I've got a young family, I've got to go out and work. So I grabbed Alex off the street and said, Alex, you're builder from tomorrow, so do you want to come up the front? So we need to raise 20,000 for the electrician, and we need to raise 10,000 for the plumber just connected. And I'm not paying Alex anything. But do you want to give a comment on who you are and what you do?
Oh, well, I'm just one of many builders in the southwest, you know, we're all at the other end of it, like George. I've only got to know George, what, the last couple of years, I guess?
Yeah.
And how did that come about? That through, anyway, that's
It might have been.
Huh? Well,
It wasn't
property on there.
Yeah, it was,
Road,
I think it was really through the churches in the area had held some functions, and Alex came along to the functions, and I said to Alex, can you help me? And he said soon, and so I got somebody else to do the main part of the work for a while, and then when my other builder's wanting to slow down because he's trying to just look after his family, I said to Alex, you're as old as I am. Come on, you can help. And so he's just taken the responsibility, and I'm here really to see if I could find. It's fun. Some of you might come. If you talk to Alex afterwards, you might be able to say, "Oh, we're happy to come to a busy bee," and he might meet you on a Saturday morning, and he might give you all some trees to. If you can cut up some trees on the beach and tidy up the place, or you might have different skills, or you might be able to get Alan down, or Leon. Is there a chance, Leon? Would you come and say hello for a sec, Leon? Leon's my special friend from Margaret River who, I'll make a comment and he can correct my comments, but he loves his family, but when he spends a lot of time with his family, he accidentally gets dragged into the drug scene, and then he tidies up, and then he goes back and loves his family again, and he's been working hard to honour everybody. So I've just seen him over many years and very impressed with him, and so I don't know what, I think we're both thanking God for being alive, and so let's see what comments he makes.
Well, yeah, I had a granddaughter 2 days ago.
Hey!
She's beautiful, and my son's healthy and clean and works at a dairy company. And I guess if I could say anything in a short time, it would be it's a generational thing. Unwell people bring up unwell people, and it's no one's fault. It's you can have the best intentions in your heart, and you can really want to love, but addiction's a selfish thing. It turns a good person into a bad person in an outward way in their actions, and these are the things that bring up your family, aren't they? Your words, your actions. You have to have a stopper somewhere, and it's basically a miracle from God on a lot of levels. I don't thank George, I thank God for George. And he's a humble man who's not after any gain. He's just, it's a light shining into a dark place, you could say. And yeah, I mean, I've got 2 sons, and one's well and one's not well, so like I really feel sad for my other son, and I hope he comes through. I pray for him all the time, but I've got to be happy. 50 out of 50% is not so bad. And this granddaughter has got 2 beautiful parents, so that generational movement is sort of, it's good. It's good to see, and thanks.
Can I add one more thing? I wouldn't have got well last time if it wasn't for Leon. Leon drove me to Perth, nursed me, wore my abuse, and there was many abuse, don't worry. But what was it? You and your big idea? Yeah, and brought me back to Margaret River. So we can lean on each other and help each other. And it's great to have people that have been through the treatment and have the experience and the heart and compassion to help us. And that's why I really thought Lions is a place to bring George and all these guys to see what we can do.
And the next guy to come up is Jack. Jack's just come through the door.
You're going to get late, isn't it?
Good evening, everyone.
Jack. Some of you probably know Jack, and Jack teaches surfing, I gather. He runs the Surfside Church. And so I said, there's an opportunity if your church and the local Lions group got together, I've got this property where you can have big meetings, and so you could this is a metric up. The metric up is sort of the centre of the universe. You're not far from Dunsborough, you're not far from Busselton, you're not far from Margaret River, you're not far from Yellingup. And so Jack says he'll do all the cooking if you bring some barbecues, and you could feed the other Lions group and see if we can actually really raise 10,000 together. So I'll let Jack talk for himself.
Well, I'm not privy to what has been already said tonight, but I certainly would.
You can brag about Paul. Where's Paul gone?
I certainly want to endorse George and his work that's been ongoing for many, many years. We've seen firsthand the significant impact that it's made and turning around young people's lives and older people as well. You're not discriminating against the older ones, but
these guys used to be young.
Used to be young.
I just stayed awake a very long time.
But the significant impact is not only on the individual, but the families that are so vitally affected and traumatised, and the extended community that we live in. Everybody is impacted. To rescue one person's life is not just one future and one destiny, but it's a whole variety of family, of close associates, of friends, of our community in which we live. So the more we can sow into this ministry program, recovery process, the better our community will be. So I just want to encourage you all in that.
And I'm going to give Chintak a chance to make a few comments. Chintak's had to put up with me for 20 years or more, managing him. He's been working to develop a ministry. So I'll let you make a comment for a second.
Yeah.
And we're over time, but
all right, just quickly. So yeah, I've been working with George for 20 years as an engineer for his company, and I think one of the main things is it's not just a normal your average pharmaceutical company, big drug company that's trying to make money. This is different. I mean, we get to see patients every day. Basically, our company is right next to the clinic. I've been friends with Alan for quite a number of years, and a lot of the other patients too. And one thing I like to say is like, the patients are just everyday normal people. You meet them in all walks of life. You probably know quite a few if you dig down deep enough. They're not just your stigma, people on the street using heroin or whatever. They are everywhere around. So, it does affect everyone. And so, yeah.
You've got my email address.
Is there questions from people?
Yeah, this is my contact details if people want to write it down. I'm delighted to get questions.
Anyone want to ask any questions?
At the Busselton, what the new centre that you're doing in Busselton, is that for people to stay there while they're in rehab?
One of the things about Busselton is, and the region, is that it's lovely to come and have a holiday here, and you have these people who haven't. I'll often be in Northern where we've got a big rehab, and you ring the mother and say he's leaving tomorrow, and she'll say, I haven't talked to him for 10 years and I don't want to talk to him today. And so
The purpose of Busselton is to be able to ring up, not the mother who's been in so much conflict, but the brother who used to like it, and ring the brother and say, look, you just won a free trip to Busselton.
Sorry, George. So yeah, the point is, people have gone through rehab, and then they're reconnecting with family. They're not detoxing. They're well implanted. They're well out of the drug system.
When we've done 6 months' work, or a year's work, or 2 years' work, you can't believe the difference. And neither can the mother, neither can the brother. So you say, look, leave the motor running. We give you a free holiday. If he comes over the fence, you just drive off. And so you have to reintroduce these people somehow. And so we picked a nice part of the world to reintroduce them in.
Yeah, okay, that's wonderful. Yeah.
Anybody else?
And so we'll keep in touch with what Mick tells us, but we'd be delighted to work with Jack's church. We'd be delighted to work with the
Can I just finish off a bit there, George? Just you know Phil Tickle? Well, the late Phil Tickle, he's in the Lions, wasn't he? He was for many. He was my neighbour up until a couple of years ago. Anyway, he runs, as you know, Siesta Park, and just up the road is where this campsite is.
The Holy Mile.
The Holy Mile at the old rock estate, that's it. And while it's there, we can use it. It's a, the City Council have allowed us to use it. And George would maybe shared before I got here, I don't know. Did he? So yeah, we can keep it going, it'll be tremendous. And
Thank you, George, for coming with all your... Thank you.
And so, 3 of the offsiders are from are very local, and this one's pretty local, this one's pretty local, even this one's pretty local. So I only brought some information.
Thank you for coming.
We'll sneak up and let you finish your meeting. Thank you for